Hello everyone and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan. Thank you for coming to the channel. Okay, so a number of you asked if I could film this particular aquarium, the largest in my ensemble, the 135-gallon freshwater display aquarium. You asked, can you film that, Stefan, where there isn't obnoxious reflections from the windows behind where you're shooting? And of course I can, and I'm doing it now. So it's dark out, and I turned the lights out as well in this, what is our dining room here in Chicago. And there's the infamous windows that look out over Lake Michigan, and now you can see the reflection of the fish tank in them. So the tables have turned. And this is my tank in all its glory. It was hard road to get to equilibrium, I must say, or homeostasis, in other words, balance for this aquarium. I lost a number of fish because I jumped the cycle, as it were, and did too much too fast. And particularly vulnerable were angelfish, and I'm sad that I don't have really a whole bunch of beautiful angelfish that I had put in this tank over the last 8 months. I have two, and one of them's the tank boss, this glorious classic silver angel. If only he would turn. There you go. It's a super veal. It's about as big as those things get. I'm pretty certain it's a male, especially because of its aggressive behavior. It literally was responsible for me either removing or the death of a few other angelfish. He's left this one, which I know is a female, because this regular fin from the same species, I believe same phenotype, there they are, is actually the one that was laying eggs with another male that this male unceremoniously usurped from the tank. So I'm kind of hoping, since these two are the last two standing, and I believe they're both opposite sex and they are hanging out together, that spawning will be inevitable. Sort of don't care if they don't, but at least if they do, I'll know that they have a relationship. So what else is in the tank? How about these glorious super veal swordtails, right? So that, believe it or not, I think is the female, and there's, no, that's a reflection. There's the male right there. Both stunning fish. I picked them up at a swap. They are essentially the only two live bearing fish in this entire aquarium. All the others are egg scatterers, including the angelfish we just talked about, and a whole slew of Bosemani rainbow fish from different purchases. I got a dozen at the swap, of which they're fairly ordinary aquarium bred Bosemanis with you know, the yellow gold tail. And then I got a few others that are more remarkable, like this one and that one, at a local fish shop. And I also have 3 Millennium rainbow fish. And look at how gloriously red this one is. That's what those rainbow fish aspire to be, and I got lucky with these 3. They're perfectly colored, and those are just the classic Millennium rainbow fish. They're not the albino strain, which is usually what rainbow fish people do when they want a super thorough and complete coloration like these guys have. I don't know what sex is what. I haven't seen any behavior, any breeding behavior from any of the rainbow fish. That's not to say they're not doing it. Why wouldn't they in this aquarium? I just haven't observed it. In the background are Harlequin rasboras. There might be a couple dozen of them, and then as well as some cardinal tetras, both wild caught and tank raised. And they've been beautiful tank mates all through it all, right? All the angelfish issues. Nobody ever bothered them, and they never bothered nobody. Excuse my English. What else is in here? You saw the big shot Siamese algae eater. Biggest fish in a way in this tank. And folks, if you're thinking of getting Siamese algae eaters, be mindful they get this big, right? That's 4 or 5 inches, and they are like a game fish. They're like something you catch when you go fishing. They're just solid torpedoes, and they don't take anything from anybody, and they can be aggressive. I pulled one out a long time ago. This guy doesn't seem to bother any fish. I'm not sure that he or she eats algae anymore. They say as those fish get older, they start just consuming what all the other fish are consuming and are essentially a big ugly fish, right? But he's my big ugly fish, and so there you have it. I've got some rams in here, 2 gold rams that are growing up. I got them as juveniles from this wonderful man, Daniel from Sydney's Angels, out in the suburbs of Chicago, far suburbs. And these, that one and his partner, a male and a female, absolutely get along great with these 4 original, and I was told they're Bolivian Rams, even though I think I bought them as German blue rams. You know, and I'm just not 100% certain. I know I've got a couple males and females, and I know they represent the long-fin variety. So my ignorance, pardon me, but I am delighted to report that they get along famously with these other rams. There hasn't been any territorial aggression at all. I also have in this tank, since I caught a glimpse of it, a number of Plecophorus, the white, albino, lemon, blue eyes, super red. There's a bunch of them in there, and you can see 2, one in the forefront and one right behind him. And they do a great job. I actually think they are more responsible for stripping the algae off this wood, which was significant in the early going, than any other creature in this tank. I don't have well, that's not true. I have a lot of Amano shrimp in here, and they become monstrous, and they do a good job. I'm not seeing any now. I have a bunch of Stereobi Coreodora, there you see them, as well as Adolphoi Coreodora, Adolph's Coreodora, I've heard them called. I try to find, there's one of those monster Godzilla shrimp. He's not afraid of anything right there in open water with rams, which are predatory, absolutely leaving him alone. I've got Farawalla catfish, there's one there. The great stick-tailed catfish. I actually have several in here, and I'm not certain, but I thought I had babies because that's the one I bought, and then I think I got a couple others from Aquahuna. But one time my daughter claimed she saw 4 or 5 of these little ones, so I don't know. They're not that challenging to breed, and anything's possible in an aquarium this heavily planted. What else is in here? I have a few mystery snails. I've talked about the plants a lot. I pull out so much of this water lettuce or frog bit, and it just comes back and back. I joke that it eliminates essentially the iconic shimmer that my Kessel lights provide because it covers so much of the surface. But yeah, it's give and take because I love that effect too, and I know it's good for the fish, especially when you have a tank as heavily stocked as this one. You want to give the fish as much comfort and security as possible. All right, there is I think that's a lemon Pleco versus an albino. It has that yellow tinge to it, and it does not have the red eyes. Very beautiful fish, and you see what I'm saying? It's doing, see, it's wood scraping, right? These ancestrous catfish are not wood eaters per se, but they love to scavenge off of the biofilm that accumulates on the wood. Here's my Cryptocorn Forest. I don't know how I'm ever going to literally get my hands all the way down there to trim this, but since there's no algae and lots of, like these juvenile rams love to hang out in that forest, and I don't have a problem with it. I think it's beautiful, but eventually it's probably gonna need a trimming, and I'm not entirely sure how I'm gonna do that other than just pulling from the stalk as far down as I can reach and calling it a day. I run this system on a sump. And in that sump, I have a glorious refugium that has water sprite and emerged plants. That's some hydrophilia and pothos, as well as a lot of different biological media. I use an auto top off right there, and I have CO2, which in a tank this big is a challenge, but I've got 2 large Jardley dishes, or whatever they're called, diffusers, glass diffusers, 1 on each corner. And I split the 5-gallon canister using the UNS dual regulator, and it works pretty well. And while I had some plant die-offs and some issues with plants, by and large, you can see they look pretty fantastic, right? Nothing too difficult in here. Sword plants, frogbit, cryptocorn, pogo stem, and octopus. What I have essentially rid the tank of is Java fern. I have some in the back, and you can see it with the black on the leaf. You know, Java fern and me, we just don't have good history. I think it's a great plant when I see it in tanks where it's looking great. I just am always pulling out clumps and dead leaves. I don't have the magic touch with Java fern, and I don't think I ever have. Maybe in one tank I did. That and angelfish, my Achilles heel. But these 2, knock on wood, will be the only angelfish I dare have in this tank, at least for the time being. So now they're front and center, literally, figuratively, and in all ways. And despite a heavily stocked tank, everybody seems to be super happy and healthy. And let me close out by saying, on this glorious spring day, I did go outside to Lake Michigan, which is literally a stone's throw, and I caught a slew of jumbo perch, yellow lake perch, gorgeous animals. I had to let them go because the season for keeping them doesn't start till mid-June, till around Father's Day. But I hadn't caught so many big, nearly a pound a piece, some of them, yellow perch, and that was exciting. I put a photo of one big fat female on my Facebook and Instagram if you want to go see. I didn't make any videos though. So I'm a fish guy all the way around the horn with it, and maybe some of you are too. I watch a lot of video creators who both love to go fishing and keep fish tanks. We'll talk more about that a little bit later as I explore in my mind the potential for a biotope with Lake Michigan species. But the water needs to be colder than room temperature, and I don't have a chiller. They're expensive, and I'm rambling and I'm off topic. So everybody, this is the video without reflections. Always keep your hand in the tank, and ciao for now.